During this time of limited travel, increased isolation, and stressful media, we want to make the most of this time right here at home.
Let us be your escape from life's monotony. Allow yourself to indulge in your wildest travel fantasies and discover the constant beauty of this ever-changing world with the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. On today's episode, we're going to go through part 1 of a 2-part series on the world of cruising.
Welcome to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. We are your navigators, Allison Endries
and Regan Todd. Today we'll be talking about all things cruising, and this will be part 1 of a 2-part series on cruising. So do stay tuned. Make sure to set those notifications for our episode to be published. You won't want to miss it. Today we'll be talking a lot about things to do on a cruise ship and kind of painting that panoramic image of what to expect on a cruise. So before we head into that, let's kick ourselves off with a little icebreaker here.
I can't wait to see what today's icebreaker is.
Okay, you ready? Here goes the random number generator.
Okay.
And.
Oh, no.
Are you ready for this?
I think so.
All right, Allie. What vegetable is best with cheese?
Oh. First, let me think through the 3 vegetables that I eat.
Yes.
Believe it or not, I do like broccoli. So this is a really basic answer, but I think broccoli with cheese is probably like a really solid choice because broccoli by itself isn't really that great, but cheese, which makes it unhealthy, makes it actually taste good.
Isn't that the irony though? It's like people try to get their kids to eat broccoli and stuff, and it's like, oh, dump a ton of cheese on it. That's
right.
Healthy. And personally, I'm more invested in it at that point,
yeah.
as you have said to me. Yeah. And I think in that same vein, I think I would say cauliflower. I don't like cauliflower on its own, but yeah, again, you add cheese and it's like a delicacy.
Yeah, it's not like a vegetable anymore.
I know. What is that?
It's like a cheese
but
stick.
Potatoes.
Oh, yes, I didn't even think about that.
Now
A
I want
baked
cheesy
potato, French fries, man. The options are endless.
Potatoes just can save the world. It would be fine.
Truly.
So yeah, with that, let's get into it. What is there to do on the ship? There is so much. So we're going to kind of just run through this. And if you have any questions about anything specific that we mentioned, just shoot us an email, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything like that. We'd be happy for your questions. So we're going to dive right in here with some entertainment. Allie, what is there to do?
Yeah, first of all, I need to say this has changed so much since our first cruise when everything would be on the piece of paper slid underneath your door. And now there's an app that you can use to see what's going on. So some cool things they have are dive-in movies on the Lido deck. So that's the deck that has the pools, a ton of lounge chairs. And that's where a lot of the outdoor entertainment happens. They also have theater productions, game shows, which our families know a lot about. We have participated in quite a few of those.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Comedy Club, which I think, Regan, you might have had an interesting experience at a comedy club if you want to share about that.
So yeah, the Comedy Club, there's usually between 2 and 4 comedians that come on the ship over the course of each cruise, depending on how long the cruise is. But they rotate and they go between ships. And for my honeymoon, my husband and I went to one of the Comedy Club specials, and Paul Lyons from Everybody Loves Raymond was actually the comedian. And he asked at one point, is anyone on their honeymoon? And I cheered really loud because I was on my honeymoon. Of course I cheered loud. I just got married. I'm so excited. And apparently Nolan did not match my level of enthusiasm. And the comedian said, well, one of them's excited about that. And then he continued to single us out for the rest of the show. No. And it was quite the experience, but hilarious. So
if they ask if you're on a honeymoon, you probably should just pretend like you're not for that question. Is that your advice? Yeah, honeymoon, not us.
Me? No.
But there's also a lot of other opportunities as well, such as live music. They also have different parties, and they also have cool demonstrations like ice carving and cooking. which is really fun as well. Safe to say you're never going to be bored on a cruise. So
Yes.
there's always
So
something
important
to
to say
do.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just a ship floating in the water. I mean, literally that's what it is, but there is so much to offer. And one thing that I would recommend, if your cruise is offering it, the Q&A with the cruise director. I don't know if you know what a cruise director is, but they're the person who is in charge of all of the entertainment and the working of the ship to keep you entertained and active the whole time. They have a huge role. They work so many hours a week to make sure that you are having a great time for months and months on end. And the Q&A with them is fascinating to learn about their job, to learn about the places they've been. It was really cute at the last one I was at, though. There was this little kid who kept asking our cruise director if he was single, or where's his girlfriend, or are you married, things like that. And it's just really cute. The audience has a chance to get to know the cruise director, and it's just a really like human interaction that
Mhm.
you have, which is really cool. Highly recommend that little experience.
Yeah, it's cool too because not all of the employees on a cruise are from the US, so it's cool to
Hmm.
be able to learn about other people, and if the cruise director is from a different country, it's also a great opportunity to learn about their country as well. Yeah, so
Yeah.
some other things you can do on this ship. There's shopping, which I personally have not really done. I mean, like I've peeked in the places, but usually it's like Gucci sunglasses, and I'm like, that's not me. I'm on a Carnival cruise, so I will not be buying those. But they do have other shops, and you can always get your pictures that they take on the cruises. They can be printed out, and you can buy those. And they do take pictures during dinner and when you're getting off the ship. So that's a great opportunity to use the shops. And they also have art auctions.
So, anyone here like free champagne? Me? Okay, great. So, we were lured into the art auction by the free champagne, and we all get a little paddle, and it's really exciting because there's all of these like big name artists around. Learned more about art that week than I had in my entire life. But we have a little paddle, and he says, okay, this one's gonna go for $15. And we're like, oh, $15. Like that would be kind of cool to take that home from our honeymoon. So we put up our paddle. And then he goes up to $30. And we're like, well, no, we're not really gonna spend that on art. Why do we need art? We kind of, come to our senses a little bit. So we put our paddle down. And then the auctioneer says, okay, everyone who had their paddle up at any point, put them back up. And so we were like, okay, we're going to be honest about this. And he says, sold for $30 to all of you. And there's no going back from that. Oh, let me tell you, their contracts are to the point and they are not letting down on those. So we accidentally bought a painting. It is still rolled up in a tube in my closet 3 years
Oh
later.
no, it didn't even make it out.
No, it did not. So if you're
Oh,
going to the art
bummer.
auction, drink the free champagne, but be a little careful with your pedal.
Yeah, keep it down. I
Yeah.
think is what you're trying to say.
Sit
Don't
on it,
race
like
it.
burn it, throw it out the window. Yeah,
Yeah, pretend
something.
like you didn't get one.
Yeah, exactly. Do anything but put it in the air.
Yeah, right? So if you're not interested in accidentally buying some paintings, what are some other things you suggest people do on a cruise?
So, like I always said, there's a ton to do on any ship, but on some of the newer ships, there's Sky Zone, there's ropes courses, mini golf, basketball courts with other games like ping pong, foosball. There's a thing called Sky Ride, which is really cool. It's like a little bike on the top deck that like goes over the ocean a little bit. It's not for the faint of heart, but it is pretty cool, and you get a great view. It's really fun. There's a water park on most ships with some water slides, body slides, and tube slides. And then there's a bunch of scheduled activities, which I feel like this is where people miss out a little bit. Is there's karaoke, there are games, there's trivia, there's dance classes, and all of that wins you the most coveted prize of a ship on a stick. They sell it to you as 24 karat plastic, gold plastic, might I add, and it is so priceless.
It's great. I don't know if we still have ours, but that our first or second cruise together, I cannot tell you how many ships on a stick our families got collectively.
Yes.
It's kind of embarrassing, but also like a proud moment. Like we were so dedicated to going to these scheduled activities and winning these ships on a
Yes.
stick.
And then, like we said, there is that full gym with personal training options and classes if you're interested in continuing your working out on the cruise, or if you want to pick up working out as a hobby while you're eating so much food.
There's also opportunities to relax too. So after all the fun and crazy winning a ship on a stick activities that you decide to do, they also have a spa and spa rooms. We'll circle back to that, but also want to mention the Serenity Retreat, which is maybe if you have some kids with
Mhm.
you, you can dump them off at the little daycare type thing, and then you go to the retreat and enjoy yourself. And they also have a library that has books and cards and other games. But back to the spa room, Regan. That's where you stayed on
Mhm.
your honeymoon, right?
Yeah, so I've stayed in a spa room a couple of times, and what's really nice about the spa room is that it gets you access to all of the thermal suites in the spa. So the spa is comprised of a bunch of different rooms that there's like saunas and steam rooms of various levels, aromatherapy, thalassotherapy pools, which are basically like really active hot tubs where there's like a lot of bubbles and things like that. There's these beautiful mosaic chairs that are heated that look right out onto the ocean, and it's really fantastic. Great for relaxing. I would go there like 3 times a day. It was so great. They also have scheduled appointments for massages, nails, hair, all sorts of stuff. But the spa rooms get you access to all of those thermal suites, and you can go whenever the spa is open. You get a nice robe. The rooms are usually towards the front of the ship by the spa so that you have easy access. Um, and it's fantastic. If relaxation is something that you're going for on your cruise, which I would venture a lot of people are looking for that, definitely recommend that spa room to just get the max out of the relaxation that the cruise has to offer.
Yeah, so I know I've never personally been in the spa rooms, but I know if you're not in the spa rooms, you have to pay for stuff like massages and getting your nails done. Is that kind of stuff included with the spa rooms, or is that like an added thing that you have to pay for?
So that's an added thing. I believe that there are sometimes discounts if you have a spa room. And speaking of discounts, on the first day of the cruise, there is a spa raffle that you can attend in the gym to win money towards a spa treatment.
That is always one I've never won, but I always wanted to win.
I think my sister won a pedicure one time. Lucky her.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Enough
Yeah.
about the relaxation. I am ready for the most important part of this podcast, eating. How about the dining
Yes.
situation? My favorite parts, the ice cream and the 24/7 pizza is where it's at. Like I'm telling you, I don't know now with COVID protocol, but before COVID, you could just walk, grab an ice cream cone, serve yourself as large of a cone as you would like or a bowl, and it was the absolute best. 24/7 ice cream and pizza.
Yes. And there's also a frozen yogurt option with the ice
Mhm.
cream. So if you want to tell yourself that you're eating something healthier, there's that option.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Tell yourself it's better, but continue to load on a big heap of ice cream.
Yes, every time. Yes, at least
Yeah.
5 times a day in the middle of the night, just because you can. Yeah.
Exactly. But if you're not looking to have ice cream and pizza 24/7, they do have like a formal, somewhat formal dining room option, but you don't have to dress up every night. But they do have the captain's dinner. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Regan?
Yeah, so captain's dinner, and actually every night in the dining room, you can order as much or as little as you want. You get an appetizer, an entree, a dessert, and you can have as many of those items as you'd like. And captain's dinner, those entree items include things like lobster, prime rib, some really great options. And there's always a vegan or vegetarian option too. And actually, I am not vegan or vegetarian, and I have had some of those, and they are quite delicious. The food is very good. And Captain's Dinner is really fun because you get to dress up and that is the one night where there is a dress code, but don't miss it. It's so much fun to just kind of feel yourself for a night, treat
Yeah.
yourself.
And there's tons of different spots on the ship where like professional photographers are taking your picture. You
Mhm.
do have to, of course, pay for those, but it's a really great chance to get pictures with your friends or family, whoever you're with, all dressed up and looking really nice. So that's a note don't want to miss kind of evening.
Yeah.
And then, do you want to talk about the wait staff as well? That kind of goes with the dining room.
Yes, the wait staff. Get to know your wait staff. They are fantastic. And I don't know if you know this, but people who work on cruise ships are mostly not from the United States for tax purposes. So the people working in the dining rooms and on the cruise ships are on the cruise ships for between 6 and 8 months, usually, without their family. Some of them are lucky enough to have their spouse on the cruise ship with them. But so they're there for that long and working tirelessly to make sure that you have a great experience. Get to know them, ask them about their families, joke around with them. We had a particularly great group on the last cruise I was on, Frederick, Ramon, and John. They were so much fun dancing and asking us about our lives. My dad's even, I think, Facebook friends with one of them at this point. They're just really, really great, good people. Get to know them, get to know their story. Thank them. Definitely thank them too. They're working tirelessly for you.
Yeah, and usually you get the same wait staff each night if you're in the dining room. So that's a really great
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
spend a lot more time with them and get to know them. But
Yeah.
there's not just dinner in the dining
Mm-hmm.
room on the days that we're at sea. So not every day you're getting off the ship. There are sea days, which you spend the whole day at sea. They do have breakfast in the dining room, and it's just amazing.
So
It's
good.
I can't even begin to tell you
The
how amazing
granola. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's so
it
good. My mouth is watering right now
is. Yeah, I'm
thinking
getting
of these
hungry, and I
things.
just had dinner, but
Oh gosh. But if you are not interested in eating in the dining room, there's always the Lido deck. There's on several ships, there's Guy Fieri's Burger Bar and also Pig and Anchor. And there's a Blue Iguana Cantina. At lunch, so Guy Fieri's Pig and Anchor is free for barbecue at lunch. There's a pasta house that's free at lunch, and there's an Asian kitchen that's free at lunch. All of those for dinner are paid options. So there's like a steakhouse, there's a hibachi house, there's a drink package that's soda and alcohol, and all of those things are upcharges. So there are a lot of free options, but if you're interested in some other options, there are those available for you also.
I guess that kind of like wraps up the dining. But like Regan said, if you have questions about it, like feel free to message us on our social medias or email us, and we'd be happy to give you more information about that. So
Mhm.
since Carnival is a family-oriented cruise ship, there are going to be kids on the ship. So just so you know ahead of time, don't be surprised when kids are running around, maybe being a little loud. But they do have something called Camp Ocean, which hosts events all day for kids, and it's a place for kids to just hang out all day. And they also have an arcade. And then for adults, there's a casino and there's a bunch of bars throughout the ship as well.
And don't miss the happy hours, which are usually on port days where you can get drinks for half price. So there's a ton to do on the ships, like so many things. And we've done so many of them. So some of our favorite memories of us partaking in some of these things. So, for example, at dinner, the wait staff, the amazing wait staff, have choreographed little dances that they do some nights, and they are just so great. There's like swinging napkins around, and then hey, hey, baby, ooh,
Ooh.
ah,
Uh,
I want to know. Yes, exactly. And they have these little moves, and like people get up and dance. We've gotten up and danced with them a few
mm-hmm.
times. It is so much fun.
Yeah. Speaking of dancing, a cruise ship is where I had one of my first seizures, which eventually led to my epilepsy diagnosis. So if you do follow us on our social media accounts, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you will see that I did put there that I am an epilepsy warrior. And unfortunately, a cruise is where I experienced my first seizure. But that also leads me to the point of they do have doctors on the ship. And obviously, a seizure is a very serious medical emergency, but I was taken care of, and I was in really good hands on the ship. But on a lighter note, like I was saying, Regan, you had some good news that you received on a cruise. So, want to tell us about that?
Yeah, we were getting ready for the captain's dinner, and all of a sudden there's a little note that gets shoved under our cabin door. And it turns out that my sister, who was on the cruise with us at the same time, was announcing to all of us that she was pregnant with her first baby, Kenley. She is such a light in all of our lives now. And it was like, I will never, ever forget that. Our family was growing, her family was growing. It was her first baby, my first niece. And it was just such a special time. But speaking of naming things, that was a baby. But the first the first cruise we went on. So when you first get on the cruise ship, you have to do a safety drill, and they ask you all to go to your muster station. So it's very safe. You get shown where the lifeboats are, where to find your life jackets, things like that. And my brother, he's quite the punster. He was thinking up names of what we could call the muster stations, which is what those safety checkpoints are called. So amongst the top choices for those names were, Colonel Muster, Muster Holland's Opus, Dust Muster, Muster Rogers Neighborhood, and I think my personal favorite, Honey and Dijon Muster. We had fun coming up with all of those.
I heard recently, though, there was quite a character, maybe not, Muster Rogers, but someone else of fame on your most recent cruise. You care to share about that?
Nice segue. I just have to say that. Oh my gosh. Yes. So speaking of other characters, on this most recent cruise I was on, there was a man, red cheeks, very jolly, Santa Claus. He was on the cruise ship with us, and Mrs. Claus was there. Yeah. They would not go by any other names. They dressed so ornately all the time as Santa. He even had this little candy cane that he carried around. They were committed. Like, he was incredible, but it was so funny. Everyone around the ship just would be like, Santa! So you never know who you're going to find on a cruise.
Yeah, Santa would be the last person I would have thought of, but that's awesome that he was able to get some time away from the toy shop.
Santa likes his Speedos, girl.
Oh, no.
Sorry to put that image in everyone's heads. Okay.
Yeah, oh boy.
Well, as we wrap up here today, don't forget to come back next week for our second part of this cruising episode. We had so much fun hanging out with you today, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. Come escape with us again next Tuesday morning. Give us a subscribe and a follow on all of our social media and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until we chat next week, wander on.